Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall, and we'll pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started. Good evening. It is September 27th, about 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's get started. All right, so for those of you who are new, thank you for your support. We are going to go over generally what's going on with NEXRAD, jump over into some data and news, come back, do a deep dive into certain regions around the continental US, and then we're going to hop over to trails and see what's going on all over the world. Oh, make sure you do not have anything that can filter blue light, because anything interesting on NEXRAD is blue. Oh yeah, and every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that simply Doppler radar, helping us track weather systems, gives qualities, forecasts, things like that. The conspiracy theory is that these towers are equipped with more technology than just Doppler, that they are actually able to help manipulate the weather in various ways. One of those theorized ways is emitting high amounts of microwave radiation to the point where it actually can heat up areas of the atmosphere, which can do multiple things. Number one, it can create drought, excessive heat. By causing major temperature swings pretty quickly, you can cause a lot of excessive severe winds. And also, probably most importantly, if you heat up certain areas of the atmosphere, you can create a high pressure zone. High pressure zones deter low pressure systems acting as essentially barriers. So if you form high pressure zones wherever you want, you can essentially steer a system. Storms. All right, let's see if anything interesting happened since last night. Oh, yeah, that is interesting. So at night, the towers get more sensitive. Wow, this is interesting. The towers get more sensitive at night, so you can kind of see what they're doing a little bit more. I don't think I've seen, so the amount of blue here is unusual. The amount of green here, extra unusual. It doesn't normally look like that. I showed you guys an example yesterday of what it used to look like up until maybe a month ago. But the amount of green here, I would say like the maximum you would see is this or this. Not this much blue, not this much green. Anyway, do you see this? I wonder if we can see a pattern in AQI, smoke, something, because normally the areas are kind of all in one spot, but this has a very clear pattern. Let's see. I'm going to pause this. I'm going to check out some stuff, see what I can find. All right, so the only things that sort of look like it could be related is the pressure map. So low pressure is here. There's high pressure shooting through here, but notice how it's not. This is around the same time. Let me go up another 40. Okay, so the high pressure zone doesn't exactly match, but it is interesting, right? Because we have this low pressure here, and then high pressure here, and then low pressure down here. It does look like they're related. And it's interesting, right? Because yesterday we talked about how when we see this kind of static looking radar, usually if you see that consistently in the past, that has meant the area is going to get super hot, right? As we talked about, they can heat up the atmosphere. Now this could support that, because otherwise this whole area theoretically could be a low pressure zone. But the way the towers are acting in this position here is possibly creating a high pressure zone. Or if you were to take off your tinfoil hat, you can say it's acting like this because it's in a high pressure zone. It's not causing the high pressure zone. Fair enough. I'm just pointing out that the nearest correlation is this. And anytime we pull this up, I'm going to start holding up the pressure map next to it to see if there's a continuing relationship, which I think we've done that in the past and I didn't see one, but this is interesting, this shape here. So anyway, this was last night. Obviously there was quite a focus over here, and here was something going right through the middle. And that is that kind of static looking radar, and it is the second day we're seeing that. And again, like I said last night, if we continue to see this kind of activity in the same areas, then we can guess that the area is about to get really hot, really dried out. We've seen that happen in the past over in Texas before the fires, in the Carolinas before the fires. And then this is getting into tonight. The sun hasn't set yet over here, so it's not showing us really what it's doing. But obviously there's a whole lot going on here in Georgia, in the panhandle of Florida. Almost like last night, but it's even stronger today. Interesting. Yeah, Arizona has had some pretty major flooding today. And remember that storm that went through yesterday, there was a ton of that rippled radar coming out of the storms, and lots of trails overhead. So it's not surprising. All right, let's jump over to some data. Why is this entire area? Oh, duh. Oh, low humidity? I've never seen that kind of warning before. I guess you need to provide that warning in South America because it's usually so humid. All right, so we have, hurricane coming in. So we have coastal warnings, thunderstorm warnings over here in Virginia. Special weather statement, wet ground will lead to fog formation overnight. So there's, I guess, a fog warning here, but they're putting it as a special weather statement instead of a fog warning. We have looks like over in Arkansas, we have come on, let me click it. Flood warning over on the north central portion of Arkansas. You have a flood warning. And in northwestern Louisiana, looks like you guys also have a flood warning. And Aberdeen. Whoops. No. Let me click it. Wow, lovely. Severe flood warning, Aberdeen, South Dakota. Again, wow, this is the first time in a few days where there doesn't seem to be an enormous area of Arizona covered in flood warnings. New Mexico by Roswell, still flood watch. Parts of southern Arizona, actually just sporadically throughout Arizona, we have some flood watches in place and severe thunderstorm warnings. Southern California is still under warning. Well, flood watch. And Oregon still has that wind advisory. It's nice to see these areas not have any more red flag warnings, fire warnings. This area has air quality warning. That probably means the U.S. should have it, but Canada's more strict with that, so we'll have to check out the AQI, which we do anyway, every day. Oh, look at that. Alaska's under a freeze warning. I'm still stunned at how large Alaska is. I mean, it's so big. It's like a second, like the 48 states you can fit inside of Alaska. That is crazy. All right. So this is Gabrielle. It is coming right up in to Portugal and Spain. And again, I've said this a million times, be cautious of flooding. Because remember, you guys had major heat, major record-breaking wildfires. So I don't want you guys to all of a sudden get drenched with a torrential downpour and your soil can't handle it. Yeah. So be cautious over there, guys. We'll keep an eye on the news. And that traveled a long way. Humberto, very impressive. It is a Category 5 hurricane. Remember last night I was looking at it live on satellite? I was like, this thing looks crazy well formed. The eye went from not really together to just being perfect. So yeah, makes sense. Category 5. Good thing this guy is not projected to come towards land. It's projected to go north pretty quickly, which will cool it down, slow it down. And then it's going off again. Hopefully this won't come anywhere near Europe. And then we have tropical depression 9, I guess they're calling it. This is interesting because it's going up here and then it's projected to go very abruptly to the right, to the east. Very interesting indeed. I look forward to seeing what they have to say about that. They might say, oh, it's a high pressure zone. It's being deterred. But there's a low pressure zone over here. So yeah, I need to see what's going on. Narda, this is the one that I was telling you. It's like a little child who just goes in the opposite direction of wherever it's projected to go. It's just all over the place. Boom, 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 boom. Going over here, going over here, going over here, going over here. You don't know where I'll be in the next 3 days. That's Narda right there. And this guy. This guy is projected to go. Okay, good. Yeah. This initially was projected to go right over here. But now it looks like it might not. It might just completely break up before it actually gets to anybody, which would be great. It's been doing oh my gosh, my hair. That was nuts. It's doing a whole loop. Do you see that? Look at that thing. What the heck? Let's check out the dust. The dust has been our best friend this season. Ooh, it's dipping down south. So we might see some hurricane coming out. Some other storm system coming out, maybe from here. The dust has been the reason why we haven't had so many hurricanes this season because, well, it slows them down. It's filling up the air. It's keeping them from spinning super well. Anyway, over here, there's none. That's why we've had a million hurricanes over here, but not over here. This hurricane is Category 5. I can't believe this thing is a Category 5 with the dust. That's impressive. It really, really got up some strength. Let's check out the AQI. Bad. Over on the east, as usual. Up here, bad because of the fires. We don't actually know why the AQI has been bad here so consistently every day for a long time. Nitrogen dioxide goes with the sun. I'm just documenting it. Okay. I like to pull okay. PM 2.5. Not bad. Worse on the east. Obviously over here with the fires. Aerosols. Yeah, not worth mentioning. Sulfur dioxide, high on the east. Still. Surface ozone, high down here. Obviously higher over here and over here. This has been something I've been watching because I don't exactly know why it's so bad over here all the time. Recently. I don't know the cause for that. Carbon monoxide concentration. Yeah, this really shows the states that are just the cleanest most of the time. I wouldn't put Nevada as one of the cleanest states just because California gets so many trails and Nevada just gets the haze from it. But Utah, like these states right here, in general, they seem to get the least amount of activity as far as like making headlines with crazy tornadoes or crazy floods, crazy wind, crazy hail. These states tend to avoid the headlines. And I'm taking note. I'm taking note. All right, we're here to cover dust. All right, these are the earthquakes over the last 24 hours. Nothing worth mentioning that I haven't already, except for this one. This one was from today, 5.2 magnitude earthquake in a similar spot to where it happened yesterday. Doesn't seem that it caused any kind of damages. These are those floods going on in Arizona. There's propane tanks going down in these floods, and we'll hear about that in a minute.
A propane tank.
Isn't that nuts? Let's see more on that. At least 3 dead and 1,000 propane tanks have been washed downstream in Arizona. Those are literally 1,000 floating bombs in a very volatile environment. That is not safe. What? No volume? Yeah, that is absolutely catastrophic. Oh, man. It's really sad that anyone died. 3 people were killed. In a dangerous hazmat situation is underway. Yeah, where flash flooding tore through the towns. Yeah, I got to do a separate video on that, like, as soon as I get done with this show. Swarm the area to begin cleaning up and monitoring air quality. Let's look at the air quality again in Arizona. All right, thankfully nothing concerning here as of yet. Hopefully it will stay like that.
What? We gotta go up. We're done. We're gonna die. It's because we're still in our people.
Oh my gosh, guys, look at all those freaking propane tanks floating all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's the breaking news. That's the breaking news. And I believe, what was the time? What was the time? Because it's dark. Obviously, it's dark. And this article was put up around 2 p.m. today. So this must have been talking about last night, which is when we saw those trails and the NEXRAD activity in the storm. The amount of frames that are available at this time are more limited than what I had on my show from last night. Last night, it shows it more smoothly. But this is that storm. And if you notice, there's some interesting NEXRAD activity going on. Lots of that rippled radar. There's more of it available on my last show because you can see more frames. But this was the storm here that caused that. And it was getting the possible frequency treatment. Because the theory is, the official statement is that whenever you see this sort of activity, it's just an artifact. It's not real. It's just a reflection off of birds or insects. But the conspiracy theory is that it's evidence of frequency manipulation of a storm. And at the time, there were a lot of trails in the area. All right, let's see what they have to say about the hurricanes.
Winds at 35 miles an hour. And with me saying TD9, it has yet to receive that name designation, which the next name on the list is Imelda. But what we've been watching, that remains the case this evening as slow organization is occurring. Now, there have been some key changes, I guess, Jane, with the cone, which we'll get to in a little bit. But from an organization standpoint, still some slow organization, but hurricane hunters, as we've heard from Brian Norcross, we had Andy Hazelton on, not really able to find those strong winds and a strong enough area to say, yeah, this is a tropical storm.
I would say, too, on the west side. Right. We've been following the data that's been coming in. It seems like things are very light on the west side. Present, but is it enough to say, okay, we've got this? And so we'll be watching. We do have a circulation, no changes to our advisory. So we do have tropical storm warnings up across the Bahamas. That tropical storm watch still in place across the central east coast of Florida for impacts that are probably going to arrive sometime tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks as if that's going to happen. The discussion, it's so fresh. I still have yet to read the exact discussion, but we can draw some conclusions based on this cone. On the far western side of the cone, we had the fringes of the coastline in that cone, but they have since been removed. And as we're looking at how this is going to play out, the Hurricane Center still thinking that this thing is going to make a shift or a turn toward the east. And as far as a landfall, while that can't be completely ruled out yet, it seems as if confidence is increasing that we will get this storm to turn east. It's still remarkable to watch how close it could very well come to the coastline, just off the coast of Savannah near Charleston, South Carolina. By Tuesday night, we could have a hurricane. The intensity remaining largely unchanged, which I guess is no surprise, but there certainly could be changes since. But that chance is equal when we look at how the cone is. So it could be very close still, or it could still be the center of it far away.
I'm just reading the discussion.
Yeah.
I have it up. So NHC explicitly noting the asymmetric system. And I think that also just speaks to when we look at a cone like this, it's a reminder that impacts are still going to happen outside of this. It's not a perfect symmetrical storm that's going to fit right within the red shading.
Yeah.
So tropical moisture, coastal flooding, rain, all of that is still certainly going to be a feature as we go into the start of this week. But to your point on that cone and the trend that we've seen to this pulling away, and this is something that Brian Norcross, our hurricane specialist, has been saying all day long. He's been mentioning the trough in the North Atlantic. And they explicitly stated here that there's still some question to how much of future Imelda will feel influenced by that trough that Umberto's ultimately going to get scooped up with. But
fascinating.
I just think it's interesting that they even mention the trough, because that's the first time that I've seen that in the discussion. So it's perhaps a little bit of a clue of what we need to be looking at.
Result in a weakening of the prevailing steering currents, which would
unfold. So Umberto, now a major Category 5 hurricane. It's our second Cat 5 of the season, as it has been rapidly intensifying over the course of the last several days. Winds are up at 160 miles an hour.
I think we need the
if we can, max two. Right? I've got Umberto up on my graphics here. Slow movement, west-northwest at 10. Pressure sound.
I'm going to try to pull it up so we can see it from a broader perspective. The hurricane hunters, they've been flying into Umberto and watching how this thing has been able to just achieve a remarkable feat and get to the most powerful hurricane that we have, that the Atlantic Basin has so far featured this season. We did have Erin achieve Cat 5 status. It was a little stronger, but there it is, Jane, the 160 miles an hour.
That's what they got to say about those two hurricanes. And just an update, you know how we were following the whole issue with the Grand Canyon with them having the most remarkable fires that we've seen in a really, really, really long time that took out their historic lodges. Well, they have just begun reopening, and apparently the North Rim is going to reopen this fall. That is way faster than I expected. But my gosh, the amount of damage that was done and how long those fires went on, I bet people are very excited to be able to get back into nature and view one of those beautiful places on Earth. All right, let's go region by region, shall we? Ba-da-da-ba-dum, ba-ba-da-ba-dum. Ba-da-da-da-ba-dum, da-da-da-ba-dum, da-da. I'm going to look at these states We'll pay attention to the central portion last. Yeah, so California's still got some interesting tower activity ever since before those fires started in the northern part. And yeah, this is more blue than I'm used to seeing. A lot of the times at night, guys, you don't even see most of these towers. They're emitting just teeny tiny little specks, like even less than this. So they are emitting more than usual. And it's either that they're emitting more than usual or they're picking something up in the air. In the air. Wait a minute. Okay, so this kind of consistent zip zap here is standard for Southern California. It's 24/7. It's the only place in the country that does that. But there's something weird that happens when the second tower starts to do it. And it looks like it started to do something tonight. Could be related to the storm that's moving by. Hold on. We're gonna have to pay attention to Southern California. Whenever I've seen a second tower start to do the same thing, I think I saw what we call ninja radar. I'm gonna try to find it. But it usually means some pretty excessive winds are gonna happen, or some kind of crazy hail, something weird. Now, it's not doing exactly what I'm used to seeing before those events, but it's doing like somewhere in the middle. Again, it could be related to the storms overhead, but it is acting up. So I am a little concerned about what might happen in Southern California this evening. It's probably nothing, but it's not often you see their radar doing that. But it's also not often you see storms right overhead of Southern California. Oh, looks like there's trails over here tonight. Let's go see. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. I'm loading a whole lot of time, guys, because remember, I upgraded my internet. So I'm actually going to load a little less time. I don't need this much time. I've got like 48 hours loaded. All right, this is just the last 24 hours. It loaded so quickly. I'm so happy about my internet. Yeah, there's trails overhead. There's obvious trails overhead. See all these? And it looks like they've been laying them down a lot. And they have been. They've been laying them down a lot. You can see them all mixed in here. And the edges are always the easiest to see. But you can also see them mixed in. Yeah, I can usually tell where trails are, or if precipitation involves trails. The fact that I can do that means that there is definitely something genuinely different about precipitation that comes from areas with trails. I shouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, it looks like this area also had trails, which makes sense because this was kind of going up to New England. Hey, stop fighting. Kitty cats. It looks like there's trails out here too. Not seeing any obvious ones. It's hard to see sometimes through all this red and orange. You have to look at the outskirts, and I do see lines here. I'm having a hard time telling if they're trails or not, though. There could be trails down here. It's hard for me to tell. There's definitely some up here, though. We already went through that. Yeah, and again, you know how like they're releasing the information on why the towers look like this right now? You know, they're like saying it's all birds. It's all birds. I see? I feel like they're... Yep, they're just saying, that's all birds. Birds are flying. That's not birds. Again, I've pulled this up for weeks now, and it's literally all night, and partially during the day too, in the areas where the Nexrad towers are super sensitive. Those aren't birds. I always blame it on birds. It drives me nuts. Okay, and again, the areas where this kind of static radar is, whoa, yeah, we definitely have to watch that for heat generation or something else. Look at that. Look at those. We have to zoom in. Maybe that was too far. Circle around the next red tower. Circle around that next red tower. Circle around that next red tower. The center of the tower is here. Here. This one's probably a little bit lower. It's a black circle. But look at this. Boom. Boom. Oh, look, and there's ninja radar. See? That's what I call it. And it goes away. Some weird stuff going on up here around the Great Lakes. Did I do that right? Some weird stuff. You know, the ones up here did it at the same time. See? Circle, 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 circle. Kaboomy! Right around sunrise. And then what is this? You notice how rain is picked up in green, yellow, orange, red? I think this is picking up something. There's something there. Yeah, the same stuff is going on down here. This whole center area is really lit up with some of that wacky zip-zap disco stuff. Wait, I ain't got no money. Yeah, look at all that, though. Disgusting. I ain't got no car to take you on a date. I can't even buy you flowers. What a lovely song. Okay. Oh, where's this going? Oh, okay. Nowhere. Lovely. Just checking it out. I'm checking it twice. Gotta find out if there's trails in the skies. I believe I see a couple of faint trails. Nothing I could actually point out to you, and I can't for sure say. But in my opinion, what I believe there are trails here. But I can't really prove that to you with what I can see. There's definitely trails up here. I already showed you those. And there was trails out here. I already showed you those. And lots of trails going into the Atlantic. Trail, 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 trail. You know the song that was stuck in my head last night, that Baba Ganoush? That's not a made-up word. I remember that's like a Jewish dessert or something like that. I remember as a kid, there was this cafe and they had Baba Ganoush. I remember thinking that was such an interesting name. And for some reason, I guess I made up a song with those words. And that was stuck in my head. Lots of trails going through here. And wait a minute, there we go. Yep, Cat 5. All right, let's check this for trails. I haven't seen any yet. Today could be different, but I don't see anything with that one, at least. Santa Claus. Why is that song in my head now? All right, there's one trail right there, but that could easily be from a plane going in there to take some data. See. That was from something leaving the storm, and there looks like there was a second one right there. Right now. Let's see if I can find anything else around it. No, actually, they're shockingly void of trails. Oh, okay. Well, that's not good. Lots of trails mixed into here and there in Arizona and New Mexico. Lots of trails mixed in, and the trails laid ever since the Iranian missile strike look different than they used to. They haze out a lot faster, and they look like this in the aftermath. So watch as they get left, X, 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 line, line. Watch how they spread out into like these clouds, and then they kind of turn into a haze right after. Haze. Yep. So yeah, Arizona and New Mexico, they got a lot of trails recently. Lots and lots. Line, line, line. All right, let's check out. Wait. There could be some trails in northern part of Mexico. There could have been. And I don't see any direct, I don't think I see any direct ones. It's just seeing some aftermath here. Or maybe I'm confusing it because that's Texas right there. Yeah, I think the weird stuff is actually over the border here in Texas. Dun, 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 dun. It is worth every penny having this amazing internet, because I don't run into any more issues. If I want to see something, I'll see it pretty darn quickly. Like that, I'm sure will come in a minute. Not even a minute. I mean, less than that. Load. I'll pause. Interesting. I do see some trails out here again today. Let's see how long they're lasting. So here's a trail at 10:40 UTC. Spreads. Gone. 10:40. So that's less than an hour. Those could be contrails. The ones we see in the US, they'll last for like 7 hours before they're completely gone. Those could be. Also could just be like a different brand. All right, let's see what happens here. So if trails up here. I mean, those could be. But because they're not around as long as the ones that I'm used to seeing, it could just very well be like persistent contrails in an area of moisture going through. I would say those are probably contrails. They're very defined contrails and pretty long and big. So I mean they could be something artificial, but I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. But if I ever do see trails, they're usually in Chile and Brazil, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's what that is. All right, we're in the southern portion of the Pacific Ocean. We got that hurricane over here that just doesn't seem to know where it wants to go. Not seeing any trails around it. Is fabulous. We have trails out here going into Canada. Line. Oh, I didn't cover Canada. I don't think I've made that mistake before. Yeah, Canada has a lot of trails regularly. So there were trails over the Great Lakes and above the Great Lakes. Looks like in the central portion of their country. And then we have plenty of trails coming inland from the Pacific Ocean. We have some trails out here and mixed in here. Line. They're very faint, but when you see them on the edges, they're much more clear. Line. Oh, I paused it in the middle of it moving. Line. Oh, it loaded. Oh, interesting. The clouds are doing this weird thing at, what timestamp is that? 1910 UTC, September 27th. Interesting little glitch. Now, southeastern Australia had a lot of trails for the last couple of days, but it looks like today there are fewer, but I do still see some down here. Now, I don't know if those are chemtrails or contrails though, because they are super faint, and this is live, so I can't really see what happens to these trails after the fact. I didn't see any before. Given the way they look over here, looks like they're probably contrails today. Wow, they really do light those up though. Look at those line. Really highlights those trails. But I believe those are contrails. They're very faint. They seem to disappear pretty quickly. Yeah, bulletproof. Okay, we have a ton of trails out here right now. They're coming into the southern portion of India. It looks like there's also a lot going over India. Okay. The last couple of times that I saw a lot of trails going over India, they had catastrophic flooding. Hold on. Man, I really wish that glitch wasn't there. It's hard for me to see what's going on. I hope this is just a really interesting case of persistent, very high altitude, defined looking trails. We'll have to see the news, what's going on in India. There's a chance these are contrails. Gosh, I wish I could see the aftermath of these trails. I'll have to log in a couple of hours and see what's going on with these. They could be contrails. Up here, I see trails, but I'm not convinced that they're chemtrails. But the last couple of times that they got catastrophic flooding, I said the same thing the night before. I said, I see trails, but they could be contrails. Because, gosh, India really doesn't do that often. But actually, you know, I can't say that anymore because this summer they've done it a lot. Not, you know, not compared to the U.S., but, you know, more than a lot of other countries do. Looks like there's trails over here. And hurricane. Not seeing anything mixed in there, at least from this angle. Yeah, bulletproof baby, I'm gonna take your shot. Africa. Nothing goes on in Africa because they don't get trails. All right, so this is the guy that's hitting Spain and Portugal. This is live. This is right now. ZC's right now. Wait, hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on, I just changed satellites. I just switched over to SC Africa. But now I'm noticing this is not current. This hurricane should be closer. This is... Oh. Why the heck does this always happen? Hold on a second. Okay. You remember how I told you... I said this in the show last night. I said, if something weird happens to Noah over the next couple of days before a hurricane hits land, then I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out because there's no footage of this hurricane right now on the NOAA slider. Yes, they submit like the general image in like a very certain like, small amount of time, and you can't zoom in and see what's going on. But this hurricane is loaded with trails. It's been loaded with trails its entire way across the Atlantic Ocean. And now there's no footage of this. This is like more than 24 hours ago is the last time I was able to see this. Why does this literally always happen right before a hurricane hits land? I can't see this hurricane. Yeah, this is a bunch of BS. This is the latest I'm able to see. September 26th, 9:45 UTC. That's not good. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to see what I can do about finding any other imagery of this guy hitting Spain and Portugal. All right, thanks for joining. Have a good day.